you have your current OEE performance. There's this ideal target OEE performance, and we get sites to look at each of the 7 losses, and based on business requirements, say, oh, we will need to do X number of setups, so therefore we're going to have a certain amount of setup downtime. We will stop the plant for preventive maintenance every so often, or we will do a clean for inspection, or we will stop for lunch and we won't hot seat the plant. Whatever the assumptions are, you come up with your target OEE, and then you have a gap. And the whole idea is to close the gap, obviously, to improve your capacity and free up time for improvement activity. So what we've found with that gap, if the current OEE is around about 50 or 60%, then about 50% of the gap or the losses are people development related compared to technical related issues. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, a lot of companies, when they're trying to improve OEE, will look at the top 3 losses for the week, for example, and try to work on those top 3 issues. And what you find is that's all very good initially, but after a while things plateau out and you just don't get anywhere. And that's because a lot of the losses are related to people development. Now, what we mean by that is, simple example, say a spring on the machine fails, and as a result, the label going on the bottle as it goes past is lopsided and obviously out of spec. Now, a technical solution is, let's have a better preventive predictive plan, and let's go and replace the spring every at a regular interval so it doesn't fail. And that's fine if the equipment is run consistently all the time. But if things start to go wrong, or you get fatter labels, or the equipment slows down and starts up and plays up, and things, you get a variation in the way we operate, that preventive predictive plan is all over the shop, because it's unless you're throwing the spring away every week, so to speak, which should last for 6 months. So what happens is it then starts becoming people related. Are we operating the plant properly? Are we running it to a standard way? When the spring does fail, do we pick up on the quality problem straight away, or do we wait until we get a pallet full and then we've got a big problem on our hands? When we start having the problem with the quality on the labels, how long does it take us to find the spring has broken so we can advise maintenance? All those are people development and capability of your people. And they're all the things that can go wrong that will reduce your OEE. So at the start, one observation. The other one is, if your OEE is about 65, 75, and you're heading for the 80, 85 mark, probably about 75% are the people development. Because in typical sites, they all focus on, let's do technical related issues. I don't think about the impact of developing the people, especially the operators, and getting them to understand more about equipment and having better ways of, like, training with industry ways of operating the plant, so the plant runs with minimum variation occurring. The other one that we've learned is that only about 10 to 20% of the gap are solving maintenance related issues. When you analyse, if a site, again, around the 50, 60, and I've been to sites where we've done this analysis, where they've gone and said, oh, Mr. Maintenance Manager, overall equipment effectiveness must be a maintenance issue, you go and improve it. And they get so frustrated, and that's why we got called in. And when you analyse it, you're only going to have a small part of that OEE that you can actually, as a maintainer, do something about. The rest of it is all related to production, or maintenance have to help production to achieve the loss and gap.